Took away my dad's girlfriend's house key after she tried parenting me, insisting I go to bed as a 21-year-old. For context, I 21F, have 4 siblings, 10 to 26 years old. Our uncle has been our legal guardian since our mom passed, and my dad has been out of our lives. My 23-years-old brother and I are home for the summer from college. My oldest brother lives in the city. Since we've come home, my uncle's been away on a work trip, so it's just been me and my siblings around the house. Further context, my dad used to be a problem drinker and was basically estranged for half of my life, very limited contact, and growing up it's always been my siblings and I taking care of each other. For the past year or so, my dad has been wanting to reconnect with us, mainly my younger siblings. He's been getting better in his habits. He was clean for 3 years and managed to keep his act together. Because of this, we've allowed a couple of visits from time to time. 4 months ago he started seeing someone new, quite a bit younger than him, in her 30s, and she seems to have this strange obsession with playing mom. She visits way more frequently than he does and seems to be under the impression that she's our new stepmom. I think it's kind of weird, but we just let her do her thing since she's not harming anyone. She does have this patronizing way of addressing us. It's better with my oldest brothers, but with me it gets a little ridiculous sometimes. Again, I kinda just ignore it and go about my own business. A few weeks before my brother and I came home, she was helping my uncle pick up our younger siblings from school and driving them home. Because of that, she was given a key to the house. Since then, she's around all the time and just playing parent to my younger siblings, but not really doing much because my older brothers and I take care of the responsibilities. In short, the situation started when we had her and my dad over for dinner. My brothers cooked a great meal, and it was all going good until my dad ended up making a very insensitive and inappropriate joke during dinner, and she corroborated that joke by making a really ugly insinuation about our late mother. Not gonna get into that. We saw them out and that was that. We put the kids to bed and kinda talked about what happened and informed our uncle about the situation. We were all unsure of what to do. The next afternoon both my brothers were busy with work, and I picked up the kids from school and got home to my dad's girlfriend in our kitchen. This was the first time she's let herself in when nobody was home, and it caught me kinda off guard. She had basically come to apologize on my dad's behalf. She said that he felt so ashamed he couldn't bear coming here. I sent the kids to their rooms and explained the situation to her. I also communicated to her that I found her comment to be extremely inappropriate and in poor taste. She started laughing it off, but I was clear with her that we wouldn't tolerate anything like that again. And then she said something like, "Aw, it's so cute that you're trying to be their mom, they're adult." I kinda just blinked at her. The remainder of that conversation she had that same attitude, just not taking me seriously and treating me patronizingly. Naturally I got fed up and got started on dinner. IDK where she went for the next while. I think she went into the kids' rooms to help them with homework, but she stuck around for the rest of the night. Out of the kindness of my heart I cooked extra food for her even though she didn't ask for permission to stay, and lo and behold, she stayed for dinner. Later on in the night she was fawning over the kids again, and around 10, in her stepmom manner she was like, "Okay my dears. It's time for bed." My younger siblings were in the living room watching TV. They're usually pretty disciplined at going to bed themselves. At this, they looked over to me, gave me the look like, "What is this lady doing?" And I just shrugged, and they went off to their rooms because it was close to their usual bedtime anyway. Now wait for this. I'm in the kitchen cleaning up. Dad's girlfriend is on her phone at the island. She looks up at me and says, "You too, Han." It crosses my mind that she could have been joking, but I devise after a moment that this was not a joke, and she was in fact sending me to bed. So, I say, "What?" She says, "It's getting late, time for bed." And kind of tuts at me. To remind you guys, I am 21 years old. I go to college and am working almost full time in the summer. I've been taking care of my family since I was 12. This woman has been dating my estranged father for barely half a year, so, I give her the benefit of the doubt, that she clearly has some mental issues and is a little crazy. I tell her I think it's time that she went home. She is insistent that I go on to bed, still acting like she's my mom. This gets me a little ticked off. I explain to her that I feel disrespected being talked to like that, and that I'm an adult. And as an extension to our previous conversation, I need her to take me seriously because I don't joke around about my family or my siblings, and she is on thin ice. She continues to laugh me off and goes on in the super patronizing tone. Again, she uses the phrase, "It's so cute when teenagers try to act like adults." Throws in some stuff about me having a hissy fit and being rebellious. At this point I'm just so fed up by everything, I simply say, "You have 5 minutes to get your things and leave this house." In response she scoffs and gets up and walks off to the bathroom, and on the way I hear her say something along the lines of, "No wonder Anatole, Dad, says you're a frigid little priss." When she's in the bathroom, I go over to her handbag and her keys on the couch. She has a gigantic keyring and a ton of keys, so knowing she won't notice, I remove our house key from the ring. Then I go back to my room. I hear her leave maybe 20 minutes later. The next day, I get a bunch of texts from her, panicking about the key. I told her I took it. She said some stuff, called me a brat, saying she was going to tell my uncle and brothers, and I was being childish. I told her I was at work and if she wanted to talk, she could call me at 4. Otherwise, she could go bother my brothers about it, but they were at work too, so good luck with that. She went off again with the stop pretending to be an adult thing and said that my younger siblings were like her kids and she needed to take care of them, and this was unsafe. The last text I sent her was, "This is the last I'll say this. You've been disrespectful of me and my brothers since we met and dismissed my attempts to communicate with you. I'm no longer investing energy into enduring your behavior. I'm going to be honest, there is very little chance that you are going to get that key back. This is not helping those chances. Like I said, 4 p.m., you can call." She yapped some more, then blew up my brother's phones and texted my uncle as well. I'm writing this as this is occurring. I told my brothers a bit about what happened when she came over, but they don't know the full story. My uncle is also in the dark about this. But I'll tell them what happened if I need to. Look, I don't doubt that in her heart she does truly care for my younger siblings. I don't think she's a bad person or anything, plus my uncle trusted her enough to give her entry into his house. She just really pissed me off. Her whole stepmom act is also really facetious to me. I'd have no problem letting her help out around the house if she was respectful and communicated that's what she wanted. Anyways. Ada? Update 1. After Dad's girlfriend's freakout, my uncle called me and said, "What's this she's saying about you stole her keys and kicked her out?" And he was already laughing as he said this, because he knows and trusts me and he knows I'm a level-headed person. And I told him, yeah, she tried to put me to bed and called me a priss. And that cracked him up hard. When I told my brothers too, they were like, "Wow, I'm surprised you didn't knock her out." They both knew she could be a little weird, but never had she been like that. I think it was because it was the first time she and I were alone. She is not coming back to the house. Not picking up the kids again. Only sees the kids when they hang out with Dad and oldest brother is around. My uncle has full custody of kids. They are safe. There is more nutty stuff going on with her though. We'll have another update prepared soon. It's gonna be very interesting. Update 2. This update is actually bonkers. On one hand, I'm so tired of this shit, on the other, I'm happy to at least give you guys a good story. Warning, this is a long story. If you don't like how long it is, you may skip IT. You don't have to read IT. The next person who comes into the comments to complain that it's too long, or I need to learn concision, or I shouldn't have passed elementary school, I swear to God I will find you. First of all, to all those who are concerned about the mental stability of my dad's girlfriend and the safety of our family, do not worry. The children are safe and sound. As I said, I've informed the adults of the family about everything. The kids always have one of us around, and yes, my uncle has full legal custody of them. My dad is, in the nicest way possible, a spineless pathetic shit. Even if his girlfriend wanted to use him to do something, she wouldn't be able to. My uncle has a stable career, is renowned in his field, loved in the neighborhood, so there is no possible legal battle that could be put up. Furthermore, we are keeping an eye on her, and she only sees the kids when my dad sees them. Since the beginning of summer she hasn't picked them up. That was always going to be temporary. And no, she won't be picking them up again. We took your guys' advice and called the school. The kids are out for the summer already, but they know for next semester. We do have cameras around the house. We confirmed that the incident was the first time she was at the house alone. This isn't meant to relieve myself of any responsibility, but I really didn't see that incident coming. She was on good terms with my uncle, friends with my oldest brother, she loved the kids loved her, besides the occasional weirdness toward me and brother number 2, it seemed fine. I see lots of why did she have the key in the first place? Again, she was a trusted adult in my uncle's eyes. She was his brother's girlfriend and he thought he knew her well. She volunteered to help pick the kids up after school on days my uncle got a little busy, so, he gave her a key to the house so she could get the kids home safely. A lot of you expressed frustration for how I handled the situation, saying I should have been more proactive or been meaner to her. All fair. I'm sure some of you would have done much better than me. I am simply a low-energy person who's not very reactionary. That's all I can say. But those disappointed that I didn't respond with violence don't seem to understand that you can't risk that with kids in the house. That's not something I want them to see, and God forbid if it escalates, it could put them in danger. As it turns out, you guys were right. She was mistaken about my age, not that it excuses her behavior. She thought I was 18. My uncle cleared it up with her. Yes, I did get an apology after what happened. No, I really can't give a shit. She apologized by saying she was so sorry about what she said and she sensed disrespect from my end which made her defensive, and I just said okay and left it at that. She apologized to the rest of the family as well about her joke at dinner. And about the comment my dad supposedly made, I have it on good authority that she just fabricated it. You guys don't have to believe me. But I know my father to the bone and he isn't like that. Other than that, thank you all for the ceaseless support. I'm reading all of your comments even if I'm not responding. I appreciate all of your thoughts and advice. For the ease of the rest of this, my dad's girlfriend will be called Sorrel, and my older brothers are Henri, eldest, and Teddy, second. Alright. Get some goddamn popcorn. Here we go. It's my little brother's elementary school graduation and the whole family's there, and my uncle, via FaceTime. Henri's girlfriend, who, after hearing this whole story, hates Sorrel, is there as well. Very happy occasion. Dad is banned. Boo-hoo. After photos are taken, we all go to the park, little brother loves watching the ducks and digging for snails, and I notice Henri is very distracted by his phone. I ask him what's up. Turns out he was sending photos of the graduation to our dad, which is fine, but he's now asking to come say hi to us at the park since he's nearby. We decide okay, it's a special day, we're all in a good mood, kids want to see their dad too, so dad shows up with Sorrel. Immediately as soon as they get out of the car and greet the kids, Sorrel looks to me, makes a snarky joke, "Oh hi everyone, hi, hey, oh and there's mom, I'm mom, ha." For the sake of the happy children I just exchange glances with my brothers and say nothing. Throughout the park time she mostly interacts with the kids and Henri. Teddy and Henri's girlfriend get us hot dogs, we move to the picnic bench to eat, and I'm hungry as hell so I wipe up 3 dogs in a matter of 5 seconds. Here Sorrel says the second thing of the day to me, "You're gonna have a lot of yakking to do after that." And she gestures to her mouth with her fingers. Context, I'm healthy and slim. I have a high metabolism. So I naturally eat a lot. I take this as her saying that I'll have to pull trig. So I just say I don't do that. And I keep eating. Fast forward, Henri and his girlfriend have gone to the bathroom. We're wrapping up, Sorrel turns to my dad and goes, "Babe, if you're tired, I can take the kids home." Teddy snorts into his water cup and says something like, "Lady, you're crazy." I say, "Nah, we're good." She says, "Are you sure?" "I don't mind driving." I tell her I drove. She says, "You can drive?" This makes my younger siblings look at each other and giggle. At this point I am just sitting back sipping on my soda helping my little brother sort the rocks that he collected like I don't care what comes out of this lady's mouth anymore. Dad steps in, context here, I learned driving from my dad, he used to be a street racer, and he goes, "Yeah, she drives like a bat out of hell." My car is sitting down the street in view. He points to it and says, "That's her ride, nice isn't it? I spent years working on it." Sorrel goes to my dad, "Ah, so that's where all your money ends up." Dad says, "Oh. No. Her money." Sorrel starts asking me a bunch of questions about how much the car was, how much money I make, etc. It was really weird. Henri and his girlfriend return. More small talk happens. We get on the topic of Henri's work banquet. Context, it's a big gala event held at an opera house, there's an earlier mingle for my brother and A+1, then the family comes for the banquet. My brother's girlfriend has to get knee surgery the day before, so I'm supposed to go as the +1, so he's talking about the whole event. My brother asks our dad and Sorrel if they'd like to be there, but it's very late notice so it's okay if they can't. They say of course they'll come. Henri's GF says, "So sad I won't be there." So Sorrel goes, "Who are you walking in with then?" Henri says, "I asked Charlie me by default after we found out, GF / couldn't be there." Sorrel's, "Like your sister? Isn't that kind of weird?" And she does this face scrunch thing. Henri's GF wasn't putting up with it, she just said, no? Not weird at all." Then Sorrel says to Henri, "All right, but we'll get some photos together, right?" And before he can say anything his GF goes like, "Yeah, there's the family photo stuff at the end. I don't know if they have it for extended family though." And turns and walks off to throw away the trash. That kinda wraps up the park day. 2 nights later. Henri is back at his apartment with his GF. I'm home with my other siblings. I get a FaceTime call from him. I pick up, he says, "Get Teddy. Right now." I get my other brother. Henri is apparently bewildered about something. I can hear his girlfriend in the background. He tells me he's sending me screenshots, I say okay. Teddy and I read them. The screenshots are of Henri's text conversation with Sorrel. He only had Sorrel's contact in case of emergency, when she was picking up the kids from school last month. As we're reading them, Henri explains that she initiated a light text conversation after the incident with me, just asking after our general well-being, making small talk. He held her at arm's length but to be nice texted her back. The texts he sent me start off with Sorrel asking about the gala again and what she should wear. Henri politely texts back that he already communicated this with his dad, so she can just ask him. After a few more texts she goes back to the topic of his +1 for the carpet event. She says that it would be so good for her networking, blah blah, she works in a similar sector as my brother, that he should make sure to get photos of them together, and was he sure he wanted to go with me as his +1? And she said the brother-sister thing might be kinda weird, like people might mistake that we're dating. He responded curtly that it's very normal and he's taking me. And then she starts asking about where he takes his lunch. Context, it was mentioned at the park that my brother sometimes misses lunch because he sleeps in and doesn't have time to pack it in the morning, especially on the days he has to drive the kids to school. She then offers to bring him lunch at his work. Her last text reads, "Wouldn't want my baby boy to go hungry, my jaw is on the floor." Teddy is cackling. I can hear Henri's girlfriend in the background going, that bitch, that bitch." None of us have any idea if she meant baby boy in her weird stepmother way or if it was a sexual innuendo. Because God knows with this woman at this point. We come to the decision that these screenshots are going straight to my dad. We consider maybe it was just a weird millennial thing, the way she texts, and we're thinking we probably will have to have a conversation with her about her behavior, me and my brothers. Because as of right now we're reckoning with the fact that this lady may be impregnated by our brick-headed father and be the future mother of our next sibling. Which would be a fucking nightmare. The same night Henri tries to talk to our dad about our concerns with Sorrel but gets brushed off. Gala day, I go to the mixer with Henri, and Teddy arrives later with the kids in tow. At the banquet she's doing her weird mom thing again, telling the kids to go make their plates, lecturing them about vegetables, etc. I have to keep an eye on them because my little sister is allergic to almost everything on the planet and my little brother is autistic and has sensory issues that will cause him to throw up when he tries to eat something that he forgets he doesn't like. I packed meds and sandwiches for the kids in lieu of the issues mentioned above. Little bro had stacked his plate upon Sorrel's instruction, but when he got back to the table, the food on the plate was touching, so he couldn't eat it anymore. Sorrel starts tutting and tells him to eat, but by God you could hold a gun to his head and that kid will not touch his plate. Parents of kids with autism, you know what I'm talking about. He says he's lost his appetite and asks me if I have any food, and I silently give him the sandwiches I'd packed because I knew this would happen. Sorrel tells me to stop babying him. Looks to Dad for support. Dad puts his hands up, he knows he can't step in about shit. Little sis comes back next with a Greek salad on her plate. Henri and I automatically start picking the olives out, stone fruit allergy, and Sorrel starts again with the babying comment. These kids are gonna grow up to be picky eaters if you baby them like that. Henri explains she's allergic. Sorrel suggests that we can fix it with exposure therapy. I tell her that she will vomit if she eats olives. I then suggest that she go take some photos with Henri because I'm starting to grow irritated with her presence at the table. When Sorrel returns, I'm giving my little sis her mealtime meds. I've been administering my little sibling's medication since I was 16. Sorrel slides into the seat next to us, puts her hands out, starts saying in a hushed voice, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" She can't take that with food. I gather that she's mistaken it for my sister's height meds, which she's seen us give her 2 hours before dinner usually because it can't be mixed up with food. But I'm giving her diabetes mealtime meds. Funny enough, it's my little sister that speaks up first. She's quick as a whip, and says, "No, I need to take it now. It's metformin. If I don't have it I'll poop myself." This makes us laugh. Sorrel goes, "Oh. I thought it was her Synthroid." Teddy says, "Nope, I gave that to her in the car." Sorrel goes, "Oh, you could have told me that." Teddy says, "Why would I? Mayorette, come on now." After the dinner and speeches are over, we get in line for family photos. While we're in line, my little sister starts to feel sick from the soda she drank and I take her to the bathroom. She ends up vomiting but feels better immediately afterwards. Some of it ends up on my dress, so I have her go get water and go back to the family while I clean up in the bathroom. As I'm cleaning up, Teddy starts texting me. Apparently, they had reached the head of the line and were waiting for me, but Sorrel kept insisting that they go on ahead and get photos taken. Clearly everyone found this incredulous and Henri had them step out of the line. Sorrel and Dad ended up going ahead to take their photos and rejoins the family. When I get back to them, Teddy was holding onto my scarf and he puts it back around my neck. Then Sorrel reaches over and tugs part of the scarf down to cover more of my chest, I guess, and she's like, "That's better. More family friendly." And winks at me. I readjust it and say, "Please don't presume to touch me ever again." I didn't mean it in a rude way, I said it very calmly, I literally just meant what I said, but this offends her greatly. She grabs Henri and says, "Oh my God, did you hear her?" But my dad pulls her away a little and he's whispering to her to calm down and whatnot. We get to the carpet for the photo. Sorrel starts ushering and arranging us like, "Dad over here, okay, brother here, little ones in front," and she puts her and my dad in the center, like they're the parents, with their hands on the shoulders of the kids in front, and my older brothers on either side. She put me off to the side, obviously. I can't care anymore. I just want to get out of there and go home. After a few photos, Henri kindly suggests we take some of just him and his siblings. And then he pulls me to the center and as we're rearranging he whispers to me, "Good job putting up with this, we're almost done." A few more photos, then Sorrel says, "How about just me and the boys?" And she has me and my little sister step off. Then she giggles, wait, carry me," and proceeds to jump onto my dad and Henri, and has them lift her in front of them. We do a last full family one to finish it off, for which she arranges me behind her so she's pretty much completely blocking me from the camera. Again, I'm tired and exasperated, so I could not care less. As the banquet wraps up, we head on outside, getting ready to leave. Henri takes the kids for a bathroom trip before the drive. We're making small talk. At some point the topic of dessert comes up and I make a comment about the creme brulee they had, and I pronounce it in French. Because it's a French word. And I'm French. And Sorrel interrupts and goes creme brulee in a really exaggerated mockery of how I said it, and she laughs like it's funny. Unfortunately, that was my last straw, and I say, "Anatole, take your girlfriend and get in the car, right now. Because I'm about to kick this woman in the head." She scoffs and looks at me like I'm acting out and says, "Sweetie, that's no way to talk to me or your dad." I tell her that her glue-on eyelash is falling off. It is, and I start walking to my car. I'm pretty sure I hear her calling me a bitch as I'm walking away. I get in my car, and I see, and distantly hear, her and my dad and Teddy arguing. Henri comes back out with the kids, and Teddy takes them back to the other car while Henri stays to hash it out. Sorrel is obviously having it out about me because I can see her angrily pointing at my car as she's talking to Henri. I change out of my heels in the car and Teddy texts that he's gonna start driving home with the kids. He said he basically told Sorrel to go fuck herself and my dad to dump her. After a while Henri comes back to the car and gets in looking very haggard. I asked him what happened. He just leans back and blows out air with a hand on his forehead and says "Elle Pete on cable," like she has gone crazy. So, I start the car and we're about to get on our way when I hear a rap on my window, and Sorrel and my dad are standing there. So I open the car door. Sorrel is crying hysterically and blubbering something. Her makeup is running, my dad's supporting her by the elbows, and immediately I regret not just driving away, but now it's too late and they're standing in the way of the door. I can barely understand what she's saying, but it's something along the lines of "I don't know what I did to deserve this treatment. I don't know what I did to you. You don't have to be so protective about everything, whatever." So I tell her that I personally am done with her, but out of respect for her relation with my dad, she can have a conversation with Henri or my uncle tomorrow, but I think she should just go home for now. She stopped crying, but she's still talking hysterically, and says, "No, but like, what is your problem with me? Everything was fine until you came back. You're starting all of this for no reason, like you don't want the kids to have a mom. Like I raised them too." And I say that yes, actually, I don't want the kids to have a mom like her, nor do they. And I reach to close the car door, but she steps in the way and keeps going. "Why are you so territorial? Not everything's a competition. I'm not here to steal your spot. Just because you think you should be the only woman around, does not mean you should treat other women disrespectfully." At this point I'm trying to budge her out of the way so I can close the door. My dad is in the background telling his girlfriend that they should go. Henri is chiming in saying, "Dad, get her out of here," and she's struggling to stay in front of the door. I go into the glove box and I grab this key to our old storage unit that we don't use anymore. I yell at her to shut up and this silences her momentarily. I hold up the key, looks close enough to our house key. I tell her to fetch and toss it behind her. She goes to get the key. I had accidentally grabbed a $5 bill with it, so before I closed the door I stuffed the $5 into my dad's dinner jacket, and I don't remember what I said because I was so mad, but it was something like, "Go buy yourself a better side piece," and I rammed the gas out of there. "So, we've just gotten home." She blew up Henri's phone on the drive back and kept trying to call him. I sincerely hope this is the end of the story and I won't have to give another update. If I do, it will either be because my dad has left her, or he's gotten her pregnant. Praying it won't be the latter. I'm turning in. I'll answer questions in the comments. Thank you for bearing with the story. I hope I never have to hear or see this woman again, but I'm guessing that's not likely. Update 3. I really don't give a shit if anyone thinks this story is fake. That's fine. If I read it, I'd think it's fake too. So that's whatever. But I just had someone come into my comments to try to say that this story was ChatGPT generated, because I used proper capitalization and em dashes, and my last story was written like a hot mess, so how could this one be written properly? I am going to blow my fucking fuse. Take a look in my last post at the amount of people who gave me shit about my capitalization, punctuation, and my rambling that made it obnoxious to read. I specifically wrote this one a bit nicer, with proper caps, for you guys. I need to emphasize that both were typed out on my phone, the first quite harried, this one not much better but with more care, and I will not have you guys call me a shit writer in my first post just for me to put a bit more energy into this one and have it called a fucking AI production. This is the last I'll entertain of this. Run some GPT checkers if you're so insistent. God forgive me for not putting the brainwork of a Tolkien saga into these posts. May my Reddit oeuvre be spared from the ignominy of AI allegation. Update 4. Why are you still letting her around? Why are you still tolerating her? Why didn't you just get her out of your lives? After the dinner incident, we saw her on 2 more occasions, which were 2 days apart, at the park after the graduation and at the banquet. She was only at the park because she tagged along with my dad, who my little brother wanted to see. And she was at the banquet because my oldest brother was still optimistic that we could repair something with her. I, as well as Teddy and his girlfriend, advised him to rescind his invitation. This part was too long to include in the story, but that night when he spoke to his dad about Sorrel, his dad basically begged and begged him to give her another chance and said that they could all talk as a family after the banquet. He also said the texts, and Sorrel's snarky jokes, were just a harmless part of her character. The banquet was already the next day, anyway, so my brother thought, they can come, and we can discuss things afterwards. Neither of those events involving her was at my call to say whether or not she should have been there. Plus, as I'd already mentioned, the only reason we considered maintaining our relationship with her is the possibility that she could be the mother of our next sibling. I want to reiterate that these events starting from the family dinner took course over the period of 3 days. It happened very quickly, and for the majority of that time we were deliberating the right course of action. 2. What about your dad? Why are you treating him so good all of a sudden? First he's a no-good deadbeat and now he's allowed at all these events? We are not really treating him any differently. He was banned from the graduation, but my little brother wanted to see him afterwards. He was invited to the gala because Henri felt bad that he wasn't allowed at the graduate. He does not normally attend family events with us. The gala is the first thing he's come to in many, many years. Regularly, he sees the kids every other week, for the past half a year now. He was absent and not a good dad for most of my life, thus I refer to him so harshly. I do recognize that people have the potential to change, and I'm not going to so quickly squander a chance for my younger siblings to grow up with a dad better than the one I knew. So, I'm getting ready for work as I write this. This morning Henri was at this hospital with his girlfriend who's recovering from knee surgery, but we had a family FaceTime with him and my uncle and kind of unpacked everything. My uncle is going to talk to Dad about this whole thing. Our consensus is that we don't really want to see her again, and she's not allowed on visits or to contact the kids. We've also blocked her number.